Hi guys, it's time to wrap up February. Okay, so in February, I still was dealing with a lot of the issues that were present in January, and I didn't get nearly as much reading done as I had hoped. However, I did tackle 9 books and only DNF'd one this time with no NFNs. And so I do feel like we are going in the right direction, at least. We are getting more things read, and a lot of it might have been a little bit of mindless reading, but I did read some really good books too. So I'm very excited. I'm going to go back to the standard disappointments, surprises, and hits and go through and give you guys my rating. Like I said, I read 9 books, DNF'd 1. This is a total of 3,476 pages. That is still very low for me. I usually do tackle a couple of chonkers along the way, but I just didn't have the brain power this month. And so it kind of just fell to the wayside. Didn't really happen. As far as the genres read, I only read fantasy this go round, so there's not a whole lot to like delve through as far as genres go. That does push my fantasy way up this year, which sci-fi had started to kind of move in on fantasy's territory last year, but all of it was fantasy. Except the one I DNF'd. The one I DNF'd was horror, but we'll talk about that. Let's go ahead and get into the ratings. Starling House, I gave 4 stars. Spellmaker by Charlie N. Holmberg, I gave 4 stars. Kingdom of the Feared by Carrie Maniscalco, I gave 4.5 to 5 stars, depending on my mood. Fairy Tale by Stephen King, 2.5 stars. Legends and Lattes by Travis Baldree, 2.5 stars. The Skin by J.E. Hannaford, 3 stars. Kagan the Damned by Jonathan Mayberry, I gave 4.5 stars. I did a reread of The Hurricane Wars and gave it 5 stars. And The Beauty by Aliyah Whiteley, I DNF'd. All right, let's get into my disappointments. I can't really say this first book is a disappointment. However, it is the one and only book I DNF'd for the month, and that would be The Beauty. I picked this up because my friend Izzy sent it to me. She knows I like weird horror and everything like that, and so I was pretty dang excited for this. I did know that the basis of this story was going to be that mushrooms sprung from these dead women's bodies, and all of the women have died, leaving the men to fend for themselves. And so I knew that going into it. However, what I didn't know was this is sexy time with mushroom ladies. And in my mind, no matter what I did, no matter how beautiful the writing in this was, I saw the clickers from The Last of Us. Like, oh my gosh. Like, these were horrific creatures that I was picturing in my mind. And they made these weird sounds. Like, I just saw the clickers in my head. Couldn't get past it. And so I got about, I want to say halfway through this before I was like, okay, I can't do this anymore because I just keep picturing these monsters from The Last of Us and not what's being described here. So I ended up DNFing it. As far as my other 2 disappointments for the month, I bet you can guess what they were, but I had exclusive reading vlog for Fairy Tale for my Patreons. And so I will kind of just briefly talk about it here. But Fairy Tale by Stephen King, I gave 2.5 stars. Now, in the beginning of this book, I was really enjoying a lot of it. It did read more like a lit fic to me, and I did enjoy that style from King. It was different for me. I've tried Stephen King quite a few times. This is the final Stephen King that I will read. Never again will I pick him up. I know he's not for me, so we're cutting it off. We're done. But the more I got into the portal fantasy part of this story, the more I started losing interest and he started meandering. And I was like, okay, this is what I don't like about Stephen King. I got 70% of the way through before I DNF'd it. So I'm calling it red. I gave it a rating because, man, did I read a lot of this book to get to where my rating was. And 2.5 may seem harsh to not have finished the book, but there's just not going to be a better rating from me for Stephen King. There's just not going to. He rambles, he meanders, and I can't stand it. I can't stand it. But the 2.5 I'm giving was the fact that I actually liked the first part of this book until we got to the Portal Fantasy part. And then I just, like I said, lost interest. And the second big disappointment for me would be Legends and Lattes 2.5. We all saw this coming. Is anybody surprised that I rate this 2.5? No, you shouldn't be, because I don't do cozy. Cozy to me is very boring. Cozy to me is just, why? I don't want to read about mundane things. Life is boring. I don't want to read about boring things. I want to read about exciting things. I want to go on an adventure. Also, I was a barista for 2 years, so the magic of this book is completely lost on me. I didn't get the relationship in this. Everyone's always talking about how cute the relationship is. What relationship? That's my question. Like, I don't get that. I really don't. Now, the found family aspect of the book is quite good, and I do think the writing is fairly good. I just didn't care for the plot. I didn't care for the fact that we did nothing throughout the whole story. Not the book for me. And I think this will be very apparent in what is to come in my hits. Now, as far as surprises go, I have one. That would be this series right here, Kingdom of the Feared, being the third book in this series. I really enjoyed this. Like, much more than I ever anticipated. It's YA. For the first book, I'd consider it YA. For the other two, probably new adult. But this is about a girl who, her sister dies and she goes on the hunt for the killer, only to find out that the princes of hell are involved some way, somehow. And she gets tangled up with one of the princes of hell. And then the story just kind of takes off from there. Each book grows. Each book is so much better than the previous book, and the world expands. And we learn about the princes of hell. We learn about our main character's role in this hellscape. We learn about the witches of the world and demons and the gods and all kinds of really fun things. And whenever it gets to this point, I was just eating it up. It may be one of those series where you just have to have fun with it, and you just have to let it take you on the ride that it wants to take you on and enjoy that ride. However, I do want to warn people that the third book, this book, gets spicy. So I wouldn't consider the 2 books previous to this very spicy at all, but this one definitely has some heavy spice. The other 2 are pretty much fade to black, but Kingdom of the Wicked, Kingdom of the Cursed, Kingdom of the Feared, I really loved this. All right, and then we have one major hit that we have to talk about, and that would be Kagan the Damned. I loved the heck out of this book. This is dark. This is bloody. This goes places that you wouldn't expect it to go. Like, no one is safe. No one is safe. And it gets pretty, like, there's a war starting, and whatever you can imagine would happen during a war happens. So keep that in mind. Check trigger warnings, all of that stuff, but this gets dark. And I actually really loved the anti-hero that we get in Kagan, because he was this heroic figure, and then something horrific happens and he's like, well, I failed, and then just runs off. And so when they realize that he's run off and kind of is just doing his own thing, obviously the hunt for Kagan starts, and we have some characters who are looking for him. We have some characters who are trying to make other plans since this Witch King has shown up. And then we have Kagan, who's like, nope, don't care. And he really has to be pulled back into all the things that are going on in this kingdom. And I loved this so much. I am so excited to get to the next book. I need to go buy it like right now. I just recently finished this, so I haven't had a chance to go to the store and actually buy it, but I will be purchasing the audiobook here soon. But I do want to still immersive read. I don't want to just go in full on audio. I don't think that will benefit me. But yes, if you are a Grimdark fan, please put this on your list, because loved him so much. Kagan is awesome. But do be prepared if you do go into this with knowing what all war entails and the things that you will encounter in this book. But I just absolutely loved it so much. All right, that is my video for today. Like, subscribe, don't forget my Patreon. I'm doing a lot of exclusive videos. I'm doing giveaways, all sorts of things over there now, and it's in full swing. So come join us and have a lot of fun. Enjoy the rest of your day.